Today on PGTV News, teachers and administrators have finally come to an agreement. We have the details on the negotiations.
And the census official count is in less than 60 days. How will it affect you? We have the answers. That's coming up next on PGTV News. Welcome to PGTV News. I'm Tina Mann.
And I'm Stephen Barnes. A federal appeals court has ruled that felons cannot be barred from voting. In 2018, voters across the state of Florida and in Polk County voted in favor of Amendment 4 to restore the voting rights to felons after serving their time as long as they didn't commit murder or sexual offenses. In 2019, representatives from Polk County voted in favor of Amendment 4 with a caveat. Not only did the felon have to finish serving their sentence, but also had to pay all associated costs. Those financial obligations included fines, fees, court costs, and restitution. Proponents of the House bill considered the associated cost as part of the sentence, while others called the extra measure a poll tax, which is illegal under the 24th Amendment of the Constitution. A spokesperson for Governor Ron DeSantis said that the state will appeal the latest ruling. Well, this is interesting because there's obviously two sides to this. There's the side of, the restitution, the fees, the bills, everything like that being part of the sentence. And then there's the side that says, no, the sentence is the time served in prison. The fees are just tacked on.
That is kind of a difficult thing to maneuver when I don't believe that the original bill that everybody voted on was really clear.
Right. Well, and the thing that they're seeing now is, okay, so you've got convicted felons that are now trying to get jobs and have, obviously, this is something that's always been a problem is former felons not being able to get jobs, and because they can't get the jobs, they can't pay the bills.
Right.
So essentially, you're extending that sentence throughout the rest of their life in some cases, where they are never going to be able to pay the restitution that they can pay. They make payments on it or whatever, but that means that their voting rights will never be restored. And the question is, I think the question at the heart of the matter is, are these convicted felons now part of the society and deserve as much say in the society, or are they still considered inmates? I mean, are they still considered criminals even after they've paid their time in prison? That's the argument.
It's a good thing we have a justice system in place that can help resolve those issues.
Yep. A few weeks ago, we told you about the Florida Department of Transportation's Multi-Use Corridors of Regional Economic Significance, or MCORS, a program to plan for 3 toll roads, one of which would connect Polk County to Collier County. Recently, the Planning Task Force released an avoidance area map for the Southwest Central Florida 140-mile highway. The dark purple areas indicate the lakes, military facilities, cemeteries, and tribal lands that will not be affected by the highway. The light pink areas indicate that no new construction will occur in those areas, but existing roads could be used as possible routes for the toll road. FDOT officials have recognized that there is land that is not properly marked on the published map, such as those protected by conservation programs like Preservation 2000 and Florida Forever. Those areas should be included in the No New Corridor pink areas on the map. Now, lawmakers have set aside $135 million over the next 2 years for these projects. The task force meets again on March 4th.
With as fast as Florida is growing, this type of thing is needed. I know that there's a lot of conservation groups that are very concerned, but it looks like they're trying to address those issues.
Yeah, I think the big thing for them right now is that they're trying to get public engagement and public input on these projects, because the last thing that the state government wants to do is build roads without consent,
Right.
from the people of Florida. So, and it's that balancing act, like you say. There's obviously growth happening in Florida, and we've got to support that growth with infrastructure. But we also want to preserve what makes Florida, Florida.
Right, absolutely. Negotiations between Polk County Public Schools and Polk Education Association have finally come to an end. The union and the district have been in negotiations since May of 2019. The most recent vote on the contract, held in December, ended in a historic tie, 887 to 887. While teachers will not be getting raises, they will get a few things they were hoping for, including more planning time, limiting the time that administration could use during work days, teacher-directed early release days, more autonomy in planning lessons, and no increase in insurance costs. While the contract has been tentatively agreed upon, union members still need to vote on it. That voting process will take place by mail over a 6 to 7 week period.
Good to see this finally come to a resolution.
It is, and I have a lot of teacher friends that, they're in it for these kids. They're not in it for the money, but they do complain that they just don't have any time to do what they need to do.
Yeah, and that's all part of the negotiation process. It's a little bit of give and take, but I think probably this is an agreement that both sides can come away and say, okay, well, this is where we're at, and let's get it done and move forward.
Yeah, I guess we'll look for the vote. During the teacher contract negotiations, Chief Academic Officer Michael Akes was accused of sending inappropriate and abusive messages to the Polk Education Association President Stephanie Yoakum in January. The alleged incident happened on January 10th, the same day that an email came to light from the Florida Department of Education attorney Matthew Mears to Polk County Superintendent Jacqueline Byrd, which stated that the 1,300 teachers who had planned to use a personal day the following Monday to attend a teacher rally in Tallahassee amounted to an organized work stoppage, and under state law they could be fired. When she called Akes about the email, Yoakum described his demeanor during the 6-minute call as sounding very drunk, and that his overall speech was disjointed and aggressive. Yoakum also says that he sent her text messages that she says were threatening. Screenshots of those text messages are included in a report of the incident. Superintendent Byrd has suspended Akes without pay and says that she will be recommending his termination at the March 17th school board meeting. Akes' attorney has denied the allegation, saying there is no evidence that anything Dr. Akes said constituted a threat to Yoakum. This is not the first allegation against Michael Akes. In 2004, he was accused of pointing a gun at someone during an argument while serving as principal of a Georgia high school. He was not formally charged in that incident.
Well, I can guarantee you one thing: Polk County Schools they're not messing around anymore. There's been obviously things in the past that have come up, and I think everybody has full confidence that Jackie Byrd is going to take care of things.
Right. I mean, and they have to have the teachers have to have that confidence that they're going to be represented and respected, and nobody wants to work in even a conceived hostile work environment.
Yeah, absolutely. New jobs are coming to Polk County in the steel industry. The construction of the Nucor Florida steel plant is now underway in Frostproof and will employ 235 workers once the plant is operational. According to the company, that will be in the last quarter of the year. The plant will manufacture rebar from scrap metal and expects to produce 350,000 tons of materials for construction companies in Florida. Even if you have no steel experience, the company urges you to apply for the jobs. Nucor says it's looking for smart, safe, hard workers who can problem solve and work well in a team. The entry-level positions start at around $60,000 per year. Applications are open now on the Nucor website.
Oh, it's fantastic when they bring jobs into Polk County, and I know I've noticed on Facebook them really pushing for people to apply.
Well, and these are high-paying manufacturing jobs, so that once that plant is up and running, and it's going to be here for a long time, and these are going to be pretty solid jobs. So, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see Polk growing in the manufacturing sector.
Mm-hmm. The count for the 2020 census may not begin until April 1st, but you can start preparing for it now. Why does the census matter? The U.S. Census Bureau has the answer.
Why should I care about the 2020 census?
Every 10 years, the census counts everyone living in the U.S.
Count everyone living with you.
Even kids!
Our numbers help shape funding and services.
For all these things.
That's a lot of stuff.
Your responses are safe and secure,
no matter who you are or where you're from.
We have reasons to care.
Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov.
Well, Tina, you've been working with the Census team here now for a while, haven't you?
I really have, and I have learned so much about what the census is and why it's important. I mean, I think the last 2 decades I've gone ahead and filled it out because somebody told me to, not even because I understood what it was. But we've been working really hard to dispel the myths surrounding it and just pushing out the message that it is safe and that it is crucial for our community in getting funding.
Yeah, what you know, some of the things that they say are, where does that funding go toward?
The funding goes towards schools and sidewalks and affordable daycare and healthcare and Medicaid and food assistance, all the crucial benefits that people here in Polk County need.
Yeah. And the big thing is if Polk County continues to grow, we need to be represented in that growth, not what our numbers were a decade ago.
Right.
A few weeks ago, we told you about efforts in Lakeland to build affordable apartments for lower income families. Now, the Lakeland Community Redevelopment Agency is giving its approval to a new program designed to encourage developers to buy surplus land around the city and create affordable houses or apartments. The agency has identified around 80 city and agency-owned properties to place an affordable housing land bank. Developers and builders can then purchase and construct either single-family homes or apartment units. The pilot program has incentives for developers to sell to low to moderate income families. Those include allowing the developer to waive all non-utility impact fees once the completed housing is sold to qualified buyers, and helping developers who build but are then unable to find a qualified buyer. The pilot program was unanimously approved during the February 17th Lakeland City Commission meeting. This is one of those creative solutions, I guess you could say. We're seeing some of those apartment buildings going up there around the Lake Mirror area as you go over the bridge, and so that development is happening. And I really like the idea of this. You know, if you've got surplus, get rid of it.
Right, and it's thinking outside the box, and that's what you need because, I mean, I know I talk to people all the time about the lack of affordable housing, especially people who can't necessarily afford your traditional mortgage.
Well, and a lot of these areas within the city are kind of blighted lots. You know, they're just empty, vacant lots with weeds growing, and I know they try to maintain them, but realistically, it's not going to be near as beautiful as having new homes, new buildings put in, and of course that's going to improve the vision of the city. You know, commerce, all that goes along with building affordable housing. So.
Builds the economy. Lakeland commissioners want to bring more art into the community. At a policy workshop meeting on Valentine's Day, commissioners voted 6-1 to create the new Art in Public Spaces Advisory Committee as part of the Mayor's Council on the Arts. Commissioners earmarked 1% of city construction project funds for public art for up to $100,000 annually. If there are no city projects, the funds would come from the general fund. The Art in Public Spaces Advisory Committee will be responsible for planning where art would be installed, overseeing the Public Art Fund, and recommending which works of art the city should purchase. Members of the committee will be appointed by the mayor.
This is a great idea. I mean, in the past we've had, you know, art being placed in public, but it's never been a unified effort across agencies, across, you know, I mean, we've obviously always had the Arts Alliance and things like that, but they can only do so much on their own.
Right, and Lakeland was already doing a fantastic job of this even before this initiative, because I love going around there because everywhere you turn there's a little mural here, there's a statue there, and it changes out so that you never know what to expect.
Yeah. They've really kind of set the bar on art and public spaces there in Lakeland. And it'll be good to see it branch out, especially into some of these smaller areas like Fort Meade and
Arch
Frostproof.
Has already taken some initiative too.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, since we're in government, we like to put in acronyms. So this would be APSPAC.
APSPAC. I don't think that'll stick.
APSPAC. Come on. In Lakeland, an iconic arch will soon be relit. The Southgate Shopping Center's retro arch is getting new lights for the first time in decades. Restoration efforts began in November to retrofit the sign with the new LED neon lighting, programmable to produce a custom light show. Southgate Shopping Center was built in 1957 and has been used as a location in several movies such as Ron Howard's Cocoon and Tim Burton's Edward Scissorhands. There's no set date for when the sign will be regularly lit, but they have tested the lights, as you can see here.
I, of course, actually lived here during the filming of Edward Scissorhands and saw Johnny Depp in person at that time. Had no idea what the significance of that was. But, I mean, it was pretty cool that a movie was filming, so we all kind of went down there and checked it out.
And you know, it's interesting because Polk County in general has a couple really unique retro buildings across it. I think of the Ritz Theater and the Polk Theater, of course, Southgate Shopping Center, and there's a whole list of things that go on. But restoring these iconic areas and these iconic structures is really cool to see, especially when you're updating it with some new technology. I think it's going to be neat to see like how they can do different lights with it instead of just lighting it up. Maybe at Christmas time they'll have, you know,
red and green.
Yeah, maybe they'll have it fading from one color to the other.
And I love that there's a new emphasis on restoring rather than replacing, because for a long time, like in the 90s, and it was just like tear everything down, tear everything down. There was no let's, you know, keep this. Let's, you know, preserve this. So.
Well, it gives the city a unique feel, and it in a way it creates some community.
Agreed.
Because people remember what it was, and now they're looking forward to what it will be in the future. So.
Good point. In this segment of At the Polk Box Office, we take a look at a brand new adventure movie in theaters and where you can watch some old classics on the big screen.
New in theaters around Polk County this weekend, The Call of the Wild.
I came up here because I didn't want to be around anyone. And then I met Buck.
The adaptation of the 1903 novel stars Harrison Ford as John Thornton alongside a computer-animated dog named Buck, who was stolen from his home and thrown into the harsh Klondike, where he crosses paths with John Thornton and learns about the Call of the Wild. The 20th Century Fox movie is rated PG for some violence, peril, thematic elements, and mild language.
Can I help you?
Why, yes, you can. I'm here to report a terrible crime.
Still in theaters, Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. The latest in DC Comics' extended universe picks up after Suicide Squad, where Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie, joins the Birds of Prey, a superhero group to save a young woman from Black Mask, a crime lord, played by Ewan McGregor. Birds of Prey, rated R, opened to $33 million behind another adaptation.
I'm Sonic, a little ball of super energy in an extremely handsome package.
Sonic the Hedgehog follows the titular blue alien trying to hide on Earth after escaping from his home planet. After becoming aware of Sonic's presence, the government sends Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, to find him. A local sheriff, played by James Marsden, helps Sonic. Sonic opened to $85 million at the box office. The movie is rated PG for action, some violence, rude humor, and brief mild language. At the Polk Theater in Lakeland, a few older movies will be on the big screen.
He rode a blazing saddle, he wore a shining star.
Mel Brooks' 1974 Western comedy Blazing Saddles will be shown on February 27th at 6 p.m. Blazing Saddles is rated R.
Getting to feel free and easy.
And on February 29th at 2 p.m., the musical adaptation The King and I will grace the silver screen once again. The 1956 movie is rated G. Tickets for both movies at Polk Theater cost $5 and can be booked at polktheater.org. This has been At the Polk Box Office.
Well, that's all for this edition of PGTV News.
Next is the board review, but as we go to break, here's a list of events coming up in the community.
Social Security is with you through life's journey from birth to retirement. As your life changes year to year, so do your needs. For over 80 years, Social Security has helped to meet your needs and is committed to improving access to the services that make a difference in your life. Today, you can verify your earnings, estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, manage your benefits, and even change your address, all from the comfort of your home. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Since the moment you were born, I've made 1,000 wishes. Wishes for your future. In a world that's changing fast. For all of the things you may one day do play and laugh. Do win and lose. Do learn from your mistakes. And challenge yourself to grow. Do not be afraid. Or make decisions based in fear. Do it all with confidence and with kindness and strength. Do call your mom and ask her for advice. And always do your best to remember that no matter what you do in this life,
Thank you.
what matters to me is that you keep doing it. I love you always, Mom.
Welcome to the Board Review with news about your county government. I'm your host, Tricia Pichette. Today you'll learn about County Commission actions from the February 18th, 2020 board meeting. During Tuesday's meeting, the board approved the alignment alternative and adopted the resolution for the County Road 557 widening project. Jay Jarvis, Polk's Roads and Drainage Director, explained the importance of this project and what it means to Polk residents.
Today we brought before the board the proposed alignment for the County Road 557 from Lake Alfred up to I-4. What this does is it looks at what alternatives we can look at as far as right-of-way and alignment of the roadway that are the most cost-effective and fit in within either the existing right-of-way or proposed right-of-way that we may be looking for. And so this kind of sets where we need to go with regards to the design. So that'll be the next step. We'll move forward with design of this roadway. And hopefully in a few years, we will have a 4-lane road traveling from Lake Alfred to I-4.
The board also approved 3 right-of-way agreements, 2 of which related to the County Road 557 improvement project, and the 3rd for the West Pipkin Road improvement project. Wade Allen, Polk's Administrator of Real Estate, took the time to discuss the importance of these agreements and how they relate to each of the projects.
The board considered a couple of items this morning for their upcoming road projects. The first item was an agreement with Mrs. Lango, who lives on the west side of 557, north of Lake Alfred. This project, the board considered and approved the purchase of her residence today, which will be needed for additional right-of-way for the County Road 557 project. The second item is an agreement that the board also approved today, which was for an agreement with Mr. and Mrs. Black in Polk County for the purchase of their property, which is also located on the west side of County Road 557, just on the southern end of this project, which the county's project will go from basically just the north end, just north of the railroad track to just south of I-4. Regular acquisition on this project is about 1.5 years out, but both of these property owners were interested in working with the county early on and to get their items resolved. Third item on today was another right-of-way acquisition this is for the county's West Pipkin project, the 4-lane between Hardin Boulevard and County Road. The project This particular parcel is located at the southwest corner of Yates and West Pipkin. It's currently a vacant parcel owned in the future stages of, will be a future development parcel. And the county basically approved the agreement with English Creek to allow for the purchase of that right-of-way so that we can continue to move forward with the county's 4-laning project that's planned to go to construction within about a year and a half.
Several longtime Polk employees were recognized for their years of service Tuesday. They included Freddie L. Fred the Painter Hyman, who was a painter for the Facilities Division and was recognized for 20 years of service. Jean-Paul Levasseur, who is an electronic monitoring officer in the Probation Division, was recognized for 20 years of service. Christina Tina Seymour, an office manager in the Probation Division, was recognized for 20 years of service. Cynthia R. Williams, who is a Social Director 2 in the Rohr Home, was recognized for 20 years of service. Teresa Reese Bardwell, an electronic monitoring officer in the Probation Division, was recognized for 25 years of service. Mary Beth Moore, who is a forensic program manager for the Indigent Healthcare Group, was recognized for 25 years of service. Ken Williams, who is a battalion chief in the Fire Rescue Division, was recognized for 25 years of service. Arthur R. Cunningham Bell, who is a chief masonry worker in the Roads and Drainage Division, was recognized for 35 years of service. Michelle Githens was appointed as a member of the Citizens Healthcare Oversight Committee for a 4-year term that ends in 2021. Desiree Howell was reappointed as a member of the Tourist Development Council for a 4-year term that ends in August 2023. During the afternoon session, the board held a public hearing on the following item. The board approved a conditional use request to allow one mobile home in the residential Low 4X land use district within the Ronald Reagan Parkway selected area plan on about a half an acre. Well, that wraps up this edition of the Board Review. To keep current with programs and progress in the county, visit us online at polk-county.net or follow us on Facebook or Twitter. We encourage you to join us at the next scheduled board meeting at 9 a.m. Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020. I'm Tricia Pichette. Thanks for watching.